Welcome back to Jump Scare. I'm Betty.
And I'm Shad.
Here's a second serving for you. Get ready to eat it up of Ghoulies II.
The carnival's back in town with all your old favorites. The Ferris wheel, the Roundup, the Octopus, beautiful girls, the Spook House, bumper cars, and a special added attraction. It's got Ghoulies too. They walk, they talk, they crawl on their bellies like
reptiles. This place is better than Epcot Center.
Ghoulies too.
Really scary, mister.
Close the carnival hard before they kill again. $1,000 to any man who brings me one alive.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the bathroom, Ghoulies 2. They'll get you in the end again. Ghoulies 2.
Ghoulies 2, one of the movies that is very dear to my heart and a fan favorite out of the series.
Yeah, I don't think Ghoulies Go to College ever quite captured everyone's imagination.
I love how you always reference that one when I've never, obviously that one is terrible. I'm not a fan of the first one. I totally hate the first one. It's boring. I find it to be very boring.
Well, first of all, there's the whole lie on the cover. They show the Ghoulies in the toilet and nobody gets killed in the toilet, which is why they had to do it in this one. Because it was already a lie. So they had to make sure this time someone got killed on the toilet.
This film has very recognizable people if you love horror films. You have Phil... I'm going to fuck this name up. Fondacaro. Phil Fondacaro. He is in Return of the Jedi. He is one of the Ewoks, which is coincidental because he's working side by side with Warwick Davis, and they are both in Willow. If you're a Willow fan, he plays Von Carr in Willow. He's also in Troll. He's also in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the TV show. I mean, he's done a lot of things, so you've seen him several times.
And then, weirdly enough, in this, he's dressing up like a monster.
Yes. And then you have, and man, what a fucking name. Royal
Dano.
Okay?
Royal Dano.
I love his name. I think it's pretty fucking magical, and I want to change my name to Royal Dano because it's like, is this a stage name? I have actually Space Invaders on VHS. I don't know if you knew that, but he's in that film. Obviously, he's in Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
He's in The Dark Half that we covered recently.
His last movie, and he's also in Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Yeah, he's been in a lot of everything.
Yes, old actor, not literally and figuratively, obviously, but he has been working. He worked in the industry for a really long time, a lot of westerns. Crazy enough, he also was in House 2, and he's the ancestor.
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since I've watched that one.
Yeah, so he's, I mean, and I'm not, when I was younger, I was, not to get sidetracked, I was all about House and House 2. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, I don't want to say hate the films, but I'm just like, especially part 2. There's something about part 2 that just bothers me. I don't know if it's like the fucking weird dog thing or...
The caterpillar?
Yeah, see, I just already...
Yeah, because
they treat it like a dog.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the movie's fucking weird. It's like, who was smoking? What were you guys doing when you made these movies?
It was good stuff.
I know you're a big fan. I have to rewatch them because I don't know. I used to love them a lot. But anyhow, so Ghoulies 2 picks off kind of where Ghoulies 1 ended. The Satan worshippers or whatever are trying to get the Ghoulies because they've been released in the world in the first part, and they're still trying to capture them, and that's where this film begins, where you kind of have the two stories that are going in separate two directions, and then they collide. You know, you have the traveling circus that's going to their next town. You know, you have Royal Dano and his nephew there, and he's a hot drunken mess, and the nephew's trying to hold it all together, and they're, you know, fucking poor, and their car's all fucked up, and they have to stop. And then at the same time that's happening, they stop at a gas station. The Ghoulies are being chased by the Satan worshippers, and they're off running into, and that's where they both meet. Where
I thought it was a priest that was chasing them, that was carrying him in a bag.
Well, yeah, the priest, but then there's also the priest is carrying in the bag, yes, and the Satan worshippers are running after the priest to get the Ghoulies.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot about the fucking priest because he's literally in a movie for like 5 seconds. It stays so clear in my head, the scene with the Satanists, because they're wearing, you can tell wardrobe, okay, and like who the producers, like, you know what, we have these Satanists, they're going to be running after, and they're going to be running after them. Let's not spend a lot of money on their robes. They're like the cheapest looking. They look like someone just threw some like cheap curtain on them. And they're running around. 3 of them are running around. They're not the heavy, thick, like, you know, ceremonial robes that you see in the...
These are the Kmart Satan robes.
Yes, they're the Kmart Satan robes. $7.99. And that's all happening, and that's how the Ghoulies hitch a ride, literally, with Royal Dano, who's driving their act is Satan's Den. So it just goes, I mean, it's perfect. That's what drew the Ghoulies to the truck, was the fucking crazy, you know,
big
creature,
red devil horn.
Yeah, they were like, yes, this is a kick-ass fucking place to fucking be. It was meant for us. And then they hitch a ride.
Yeah, so they end up, you know, they go inside. I love these places where they always have, like, it's the evil carnival owner, and he only wants the carnival to make money. All he cares about is making money. He doesn't care about the art. He doesn't care about the camaraderie of the people driving from town to town, not making any money. He just wants to make money with this carnival. What a son of a bitch he is.
Well, I mean, not to get too, you know, politico in the film, but I think it was definitely maybe it wasn't, but how I took it was like social commentary at the time. It's the late 80s. Hardin is the, you know, young James Spader looking-esque, you know, fucking fancy suit guy, you know, with the coiffed hair that's working on Wall Street. Like, he's a Wall Street looking guy, and, you know, he's a capitalist. He's all about the fucking money, and it literally just tells you that it's the working man against the working man against the rich man, and what's going to bring these fucking people together? They have to rub elbows together, which that didn't work out actually really well for Hardin. It did. Spoiler alert, it doesn't work out. But they have to work hand in hand despite their differences, their monetary differences. The guy playing Hardin, he couldn't have looked more motherfucking 80s. Like, he's just your typical 80s rich guy. All he was missing, if there was a scene where he came over for like fucking breakfast, you know, and he was wearing like the pastel like fucking shirt with the sweater over his shoulders, that would have literally just sealed the fucking look that he was going for, which they killed it. They got that shit fucking spot on. I mean, it was 87 probably when they were filming the movie, so it's perfect.
But it just always cracked me up the way that they're like, listen, I know that we haven't made any money for years at this carnival, but you gotta give us a chance. It's been years and you haven't made any money. They're like, just give us this weekend and we'll show you what we can do. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's when you gotta fucking have the mantra. Take it to the limit. Ah! You're gonna have a fucking montage where they're fucking like they're all of a sudden
there's
like,
hammering and they're putting in nails and they're
putting in strobe lights into the fucking thing.
Randomly, people are sawing boards, somebody's welding, and all this. Like, they didn't even do that. They were just like, "Yeah, we're gonna make some money." And what I love, like I said, it just cracked me up because like I was listening to the guy and I'm like, he's not wrong. I mean, if the attraction hasn't made money in years, maybe it is time to try something new.
Yeah, it was the dying, also the commentary of the dying, like, gypsy / like, carnival. Yep. That whole lifestyle was going, out, to the wayside, and it was all going to be taken over by, like...
It was going to be a
amusement parks and corporate America.
It was going to be a corporate carnival.
It's a corporate carnival.
People in suits selling the tickets. People that had background checks. Profit sharing.
Oh my god. 401ks.
How dare you ruin our business, sir.
Not every carnival can fucking be Pee-wee's Big Top. Okay, not every fucking carnival's fancy and they have fancy bullshit.
They're like, we drive from town to town. We don't make any money. We barely eat. We sleep in these clothes for a month at a time because we can't afford laundry. And that's the way we like it, sir. Well, we like being dirty, filthy carnies that smell like cabbage. Maybe
they had to smell like cabbage and they had to do all that stuff because they were spending all their money on their props. The fucking pendulum was fucking real. That shit was sharp and it was slicing fucking heads. It wasn't rubber like you pointed out that it should have been. They were literally driving around like Satan's Den on the set. It was Satan's Den. Everything in there was fucking a lawsuit waiting to happen. That's why Hardin had to come in. He was like, look, man, you can't have real pendulums like swinging around.
Yeah, so at one point, now the Ghoulies are in there. So the Ghoulies take over their little terror house that they've got.
Do they take it over, or are they just living their best life in Satan's Den? It is Satan's Den. That's literally where they came from, right?
But I love how the Ghoulies are like, now we've got a pendulum here. We'll just use it. The first thing I said to Betty was, why is the pendulum real? Why wouldn't it just be rubber or wood or something? Why would you make an actual razor sharp pendulum to come down on the dummy you have there? And for that matter, why is the electric chair actually an electric chair? Wouldn't you just have it like a noise and make the little mannequin in it hop up and down? Why would you actually electrify the dummy that you have in the chair?
Okay, first of all...
No, there's no first of all.
Royal Dano, okay, is old as fuck in this film. He's, like, his hair is like fucking bleach white, alright? He's going around with his nephew. He's probably owned this. This is probably like his great-grandfather's fucking carnival, where back in the day you could have real pendulums and you could have real electricity running in the thing because there was no fucking holds bar back then. It wasn't like all this pussy shit now. Like, you can't even fucking have a playground. Everything has to be all soft and whatever. No.
Okay, but they had a real Iron Maiden they put a chick in.
That's now, right.
Like I said, that just seems like a lawsuit waiting to happen. That like
lawsuits did not exist when this Satan's Den was first developed. That apparently wasn't a thing. And they're driving around town to town, Chad, so they're not going to get caught, right? Like,
and neither did, like, apparently a regard for human life or safety. Jesus. Why don't we just have a thing where they just, as you walk into Satan's carnival or Satan's Den, someone just hits you in the kneecaps with a bat and goes, now crawl your way out of hell.
I'm just messing with you, but on all seriousness, you literally, like, when you were a baby, there were no fucking seatbelts. That was the thing when you thought that there was like, all cars should have seatbelts because it's like the most safest thing. They made cars with no seatbelts for fucking a long time. Like how many years did it take for there to be a seatbelt in the car?
Even then, somebody was like, I don't think we should put real razor blades on this attraction that kids are going to go through. That'd be like saying, let's put some razor blades on the side. If they can't dodge them, that's their fucking fault.
I see that there's crickets about the seatbelt question, so okay, we're just gonna move on from but it's Satan's Den again. Did I say that it was Satan's Den?
Yeah, I guess they wanted to jive that shit up a little bit. Like, hey, you want to jive up your night a little bit? We got real shit going on in here.
There was a real fucking couch in there, Shad. Okay, a real couch where you could.
I was getting to that. Like, What kind of fucking haunted house has an actual just makeout couch in it for you? Like, hey,
The best haunted house.
on your way through the house, you guys want to stop, make out, fuck a little bit on this couch?
Yes.
Don't worry about the other people that'll be coming through in a few seconds to watch you, okay? This is for the exhibitionist horror fan. It's like, I really want to go through that haunted house, but is there any place we could fuck on a couch? Specifically, a couch that has been in a carny attraction for fucking years. I got herpes just looking at that thing, okay? Like, as soon as you sit down on that couch, first of all, there's lice, there's fleas, and then all the other fucking diseases you're going to get from that couch. There's no way that chick that was sitting on the couch, she's going to be at the clinic for a long time while they sort that out.
First of all, did you see her hair? These bitches were rock and rollers. They live on the edge, okay? The fucking guy, his main line in the movie was like, my tunes, man. Don't fuck with my tunes, man. He was all about living on the edge with his tunes.
He carried the boombox with the detachable speakers.
He was hardcore.
That's how hard he was. He didn't bother to go out and get one of those straight old-fashioned ones with a speaker built in. No. He got one that you had to clip the speakers on the side.
That's right, because he weighed 85 pounds, okay? He had no muscle on him. He was just legs and a fucking big-ass 80s hair. That's all he was. He couldn't be carrying no big-ass, thick-ass boombox. He had to have, like, the lightweight boombox, but you could detach that shit if you needed to so it doesn't weigh on your shoulder. It's intense.
Of course, like we said...
And he was going around town. Those were his tunes. He went all around town with this fucking thing.
It only takes about 5 minutes of the Goonies being loose in that carnival thing for them to start murdering people, and you're like, oh, okay. Because first of all, we skipped over the first person they killed, which was the carnival, slut girl, who, like, my favorite line for that one is, she's looking for a cat, and she asks the guy, have you seen my Muffy? And he goes, psh, everybody's seen your Muffy.
Yeah, this is an
and
80s
just keeps
film
walking
guy,
us.
so.
Yeah, so there was slut shaming was not a thing that existed back then. They felt free to do it.
Yeah, they sure did.
And she didn't even object. She was just like, oh, you.
She knew what she was about.
And then she wanders into the fucking Satan's den like you do, and of course the Ghoulies make short work of her.
Looking for her pussy cat.
Yeah, she made a point of saying that a few times too.
Here, pussy, pussy. It was missing.
So yeah, it doesn't take long for they're murdering everyone.
Yeah, and I have to say these Ghoulies pretty smart because they murdered them and then they made the fucking bodies part of the attraction.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was gonna be pumping at Satan's den money wise. No wonder the first night the guy when he came with the profits, the nephew, he was like, you've made more profits tonight than you had the whole year. I was like, God, Jesus.
They only made like $62 by the look of it. I love how there's these two little asshole kids that go through and they're watching the people get murdered and shit. And they're just like, this is fucking awesome. The Goonie spits slime on him and he's like, this kicks ass. Let's go tell all of our friends. Yeah, let's go tell all of our 35-year-old friends in the carnival to come and do this. Like, all the kids look like they're teachers that were there and everything. Like, yay, let's all go to the Satan's den. Woo! They go around over there and like, why are these people hanging out together? Because I don't see these two little asshole kids hanging out with all these adults.
Favorite part of the movie?
My favorite part?
Yes.
I think I just told you where they're going through, with the kids going through. That was like, really, these kids have this? Just the whole thing when you find out everything in there is real. I was just dying laughing because I was like, come on, all this shit's real? Why? That'd be like saying, hey, we've got a shooting range over here. We're not going to use a little pellet gun or anything like that like they do at most carnivals. No, we got an assault rifle over here you're going to shoot these fucking tin cans with. Don't worry about anybody behind that. They just need to duck.
I have to say that the film has innovation that's pretty fucking magical. I may have missed this in the 80s, but at one point, Royal Daniel's walking around with a light bulb flashlight.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, it's exactly it's a light bulb that he's using as a flashlight.
Yeah, now I've seen like little miniature versions of that, but I've never seen a full-size light bulb that you just carry around like a flashlight.
Now I have to say that he was the magnificent, powerful, amazing Fausto.
The amazing Fausto.
He was a magician, so maybe it was some magician bullshit that he was doing. Oh, how funny. I'm just... spoiler alert for a future episode, we'll be covering Lord of Illusions. About a magician.
Yep.
Okay, it just literally got into my brain that this is the same thing. So yes, which is my favorite part is when he thinks, actually the whole scene where everyone's going through the house and they're experiencing the ghoulies do all this crazy shit and they're coming out like, yeah, this is the best, and they have the green like fucking spit on them, and
yeah, the one like rocker couple, they got spit on by the ghoulie, and somehow
they didn't like it, but the other people that I'm talking about that loved it, they wanted to spit on them.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying the rocker couple, they got their face like glued together by the ghoulie slime. They never quite explained how they got that off either.
No, it seemed like they didn't get it off because then later on in the movie, they're like, there's fucking sticky shit on them. They can't get it off. Like, they're not able to get it off. You can only get it off with using Tide on your clothes because the kids have it on their clothes. But it doesn't
one of those
see
commercials
through.
where they used to like throw all the shit on the white shirt and they'd write the like Tide in the thing. They have to do a commercial like that for the ghoulie slime.
Actually, that would have been the Halloween commercial for that company. That would have been amazing. I love the Sir Nigel, as he's in the movie. He has the heart of gold. Like, he's like the poetic heart. You know, he's the one that brings he's 3 feet tall, but he is large, like huge man with
He's
his Shakespearean
Shakespearean actor that didn't quite make it in the stage, so now he works at the terrible like sideshow attraction, but he still has dignity and he still has he's still an intelligent guy, but he's stuck working at this shit job.
He never, like, I would say maybe 5 sentences, like normal conversation. Everything else is like a quote from somewhere. It's some fancy quote from
Shakespearean
somewhere.
play or some kind of fancy play that he was in or had studied, so he was always quoting that. It was cracking me up.
I love that shit. I ate that shit right up because then he's like in the monkey suit.
Yeah, he's doing this. He's doing all this stuff while wearing a monkey suit at some point.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, this is fantastic. The other part is when the Hardin goes to take a dump. And before he takes his dump, he had just finished like having a whole like fight episode with the Ghoulies where he literally was like, we just need to get one. Like, he's so greedy. He just wants to capture one of these things because
put him on exhibition.
I mean, we've seen it happen in Aliens. We know what corporate
corporate greed. They always want that monster to make it into a weapon or put it on display.
Yep, that's exactly what he wanted to do. And then he gets his ass eaten later in the toilet.
Literally gets his ass eaten.
Yeah, it was like,
and it was not in the way that he liked.
Exactly. There was no blow involved, and there was no, Margot Robbie like in the back. She's in that movie, right? I'm gonna say Margot Robbie in the back eating his ass. It's from that other movie she did with Leonardo DiCaprio. Anyways, so the rocket death is a hilarious thing that happens later on. I don't even understand why. So coming to the point later on in the movie, like towards the end, they're like, you know what? The only way to get rid of these ghoulies is to conjure up the father of one of the ghoulies, because he looks like literally the replica of the bald ghoulie.
Yeah,
toilet
he looks
ghoulie.
like the big ghoulie, and that's it.
He's huge, okay? And he
I love
goes
the
around,
fact-
eats them.
I love the fact that the ghoulies didn't leave Satan's den until someone knocked a hole in the wall. They were like, shit, at no point could we have ever just walked out the same fucking way we came in. We had to wait for him to knock a hole in the wall before we could leave.
I mean, it's like one of those things. We're comfy here. We're amongst Satan and his den. There's a couch. We got real fucking live wires and dangerous things. The food is coming to us. We don't really need to fucking go out. They were good. But, yes.
So then they went out and started causing havoc at the carnival.
Of course, like you do. And it's just wonderful. And Daddy Ghoulie eating all the baby ghoulies. Then you got to figure out how you're going to get rid of this big ghoulie. It's just one thing after another.
And he was like slow to eat him too. Like he was like doom 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 doom, just kind of totting around the carnival like a toddler, and he's going around eating them one at a time. I was thinking, man, if I was a ghoulie and I saw him eating the other ghoulies, I would just beat feet out of that carnival because he's not going to catch me. He's not walking fast.
He was taking a slow ass time. He's like, I'm gonna get to it eventually. They're short and have very small like legs.
Look,
And
I don't run. I'm not a runner. But if I saw that thing coming this way, I would do my best to run the opposite. I'd be like, look, he's walking really slow, like Michael Myers style, but not even that slow or not even that fast. He's even slower than Michael Myers. So I'm going to run for the hills while he's coming after me slowly and see if maybe I can get away, or maybe he'll find somebody to eat in between. I don't know, but I'm going to try. The Ghoulies just keep on like, I'm just going to roll around in this popcorn for fun.
guys, if you can guess what happens at the end of the movie, is typically what happens in almost any 80s comedy, horror comedy, I would say, is, you know, you got the underachievers have to make it through, and they have to build a new life afterwards and run off into the fucking sunset together. Is that what's going to happen?
Volkswagen VW bug.
And their Volkswagen VW bug. That's exactly right. They have to go to the big city and see if they can make it, because you know what? They just fought some ghoulies, demons, hell spawns, okay? And they were able to fucking get it through Hardin. They had to go through Hardin. There was a lot of different challenges that they had to overcome in this. And they made it. And, you know, they're gonna go off and have a wonderful life. The end of the movie. Like
yeah, it was.
It is still one of my favorite films. You know, it has every element. It has creatures, okay? Small creatures that you can kick off of you. But these are like relentless creatures. There was a lot of scenes, I have to say, unlike many other films that do have small creatures or, you know, dolls running after you, where there's never like real struggle. Like maybe they'll get them off one time, but there's a lot of times where the human literally rips them off and is able to like escape for 5 seconds before they get ganged up by the ghoulies and then, you know, eventually die. So at least there's some of that realism in it. They don't just... The ghoulies are just like taking people out in the one meeting.
One at a time. You know, they're not fighting them one-on-one.
Yeah, so that I like. But you have a carnival. Who doesn't love carnivals? You know, you have, you know, the freaking backstory of the struggling artist. You know, like you do.
All they needed was a chick that lived in a loft and welded art together.
Wow,
and it would have been perfect, because every other fucking 80s movie had that.
You literally said that, and I thought, Warlock 2.
Warlock 2, Hardware. All the rom-coms had that too. There was always some chick lived in a ginormous loft apartment, but she was a struggling artist. She had all this exposed brick, and she's just like welding shit together constantly. She's living in like a $1,500 a month apartment back in 1980, and she still like can afford all this.
Well, to be fair, in Warlock 2 was a man. He was in the art gallery guy. But nevertheless, there's still that whole like art scene, like city art scene.
Yeah,
you know
that they all live way above their means.
You gotta love it. I give this film 3 knives.
I'm gonna go with 2 because I couldn't get past some of the stuff on it, because I haven't seen it as much as you have, and when I watched it, I was just like, why is Satan's Den so fucking dangerous? I know it's Satan's Den, but I feel like even Satan's got to adjust for some modern times. The 80s was the decade that everybody started getting sued for being burned by hot coffee and that kind of stuff. So,
was that the 80s or was that the 90s?
80s.
I just remember the 90s where the lady's vagina got burned off. That happened in the 90s. That specific story. I believe it was like 1994 or 5, but nevertheless, fine. It's definitely, I think it's up there, not to make excuses. I love the film, but it's one of those ones that I'd seen so many times when I was younger, and it was just such a fun movie to watch. It doesn't take itself too seriously. They don't really go. It's not like the other movie that we just did, the Trapped Alive, from our previous podcast, where just like these long, drawn out like monologues.
Well, maybe not previous. We may have recorded one in the meantime, but you get the idea.
Yes, I'm sorry. We might be ahead or behind or ahead on that, but. In Trapped Alive, where you have, these crazy monologues happening, and it's just like, no, this should not be happening. It's a horror movie. The movie doesn't. It's a fun movie, and it knows what it's about, and way better than all the other better than the first movie. That doesn't happen a lot. And in all the sequels we've done, there's not a lot of sequels where the second part is better than the first one.
That's why I'm saving Phantasm 2 for a rainy day.
And I think that this is definitely one of those films for me anyways. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking this fantastic horror-esque journey with us, and stay tuned to the horror.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.